Welcome back on in, everybody, to the latest episode of the Strictly NFL podcast. Here after a giant victory on Sunday against the Browns. Great showing from the squad. We're gonna have obviously my co-host over here, Des, with me to break it down for today. We also have a very special guest, good friend of mine for a long time. A lot of you may know him from his work over at KFS, Knicks Film School, host of the Draft Class podcast for them over there. A great friend, Kris Pursiainen. How you doing today, Kris?
What's going on, y'all? I'm all right. Keeping busy. Good to be on the show. Thanks for having me. How
Of course.
special?
Very special.
How
Very special
special?
time. And Des just got out of class.
Yeah.
How are you doing, buddy?
This shit sucks. Don't ever, if anyone is listening to this that's like about to go into college, don't ever pick a 3-hour class unless you have to take it. This shit. Oh my gosh.
Those days are over for me. In grad school, you don't have a choice. You take what they give you. So
yep.
All right. Before we dive any further into this pod, I just want to let everybody know that BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all things betting for football, basketballs around the corner, all that good stuff. BetOnline is going to have every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during games. If you think you know your stuff, you can get on their $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of that formerly mentioned $200,000 pot. When the game's over, you can head over to the online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with over 150 slot games over there. So head over to the website today to get in on the action. Bet online, the game starts here. And I feel like I want to say that the Giants season kind of starts here after this win.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I don't know what the fuck happened between week 1 and now that finally has this team getting their shit together. But I'm way more confident in like what we could do, especially heading into Thursday night against the Cowboys, than I was 2 weeks ago when I think we went through the schedule and I was like, are we even going to win a fucking game? And then, of course, we picked them to beat the Panthers because it's fucking Carolina.
Yeah, who also had a massive turnaround this week.
Oh, yeah. Shout out Andy Dalton.
I think, man, you look at, there's obviously so much to talk about between Nabers and Burns coming around this week and all that different stuff. But my focus is always going to be on the line, right? People who listen, they know that that's where I got my love for the game from and all that good stuff. So to see Myles Garrett not necessarily have his way with Andrew Thomas, but to get the firm kind of edge in that matchup and for us to still hold our own in the trenches against them was massive for me. When you're, when you're flag bearer, when you're cornerstone over there at that positional group doesn't win his matchup, and you can still firmly say that your line had a good day, that's massive. And it speaks so much to Jermaine Illuminor over there on the right side, and to somebody who I haven't been the biggest fan of on this podcast over here, John Michael Schmitz. So first of all, I want to give him a round of applause too. He was phenomenal on Sunday.
Yeah, that one play he had on I think it was a Singletary screen, fucking flattened someone in the secondary. Was really great to see.
Yeah. Kris, what do you think? What stood out for you on Sunday?
Same thing, man. The line. So I watched the game in full today because I was working a different game on Sunday, so I missed the Giants game live. Watching the game in full today, the thing that stood out to me the most was easily the offensive line for the New York Giants. And the reason it stood out the most is because of what their play allows Dable and Jones and the Giants to do offensively from a play calling standpoint. Like, we're seeing these screens get run for Singletary where his job is basically, hey, here's a 10th of the field, just navigate up straight through it. We're going to block out the other 90% of the field with our line. Just this 10 is yours. This is your sliver. Cut, go, like slice through. And he can do that. I don't think, how do I put it? Like, Saquon Barkley is inevitably going to become part of these conversations. And it's so frustrating to me. And I think that should be okay. Like, it should be okay for Giants fans to watch the Giants this year and say, oh my God, if Saquon was behind this line, even just this line, things would have been so different. The thing is, because of how the organization was run for years, there was pretty much one reasonable way to create this line, and it was to do what they did. Now, you can always argue if they had not traded for Burns, if they had just focused on the offensive side of the ball, built the offensive line they had, and paid up for Barkley, matched the Philadelphia offer, and then on defense, I don't know, like instead of the Tracy pick, drafting someone, right? Like you could play what if, and you can go down all those outcome trees that could have happened. But I'm pretty confident in saying that from where the Giants were, like it kind of is what it got boiled down to on Hard Knocks, which is, would you rather have a line that can actually protect the quarterback and make a lesser running back look good? Or would you rather keep throwing the same shit at the wall and seeing if in year 6 it sticks? And like, I don't know. I'm glad they chose what they did. And I think no matter what happens this season, no matter how many 3 touchdown games Barkley has, you have to just look at where the Giants were, where they are. And where they are is now in a position where their quarterback, and this is the other thing that stood out to me too, is this thing that stood out to me the second most, is the confidence with which Malik Nabers allows Daniel Jones to play with. Like this is all kind of working now, right? It's a game of, you know, what's that game with that, like the crocodile, and you got to like plug the leaks in the, you know what I'm talking about? Like that iPhone game.
Oh shit.
And
Fuck.
it's like
Shit. Hold on, I'm
plugging.
gonna look it up.
Yeah, right. Like I don't know.
What the fuck is the name
But
of that game?
bro, I swear there's like an alligator, or maybe that's no. Cut
No,
the
I know
rope.
exactly what
Yeah.
It's
Cut the
called
rope
Where's
style,
My
though.
Water?
Where's my
Oh,
water?
shit.
There we go. All right. So shout out to them. But like it's like that, right? So you let Saquon go, and now you've plugged the hole of like, we have no money, but now a new hole opens up of running back. Like everything addresses different things, right? But to wrap this all up, I'll say like Daniel Jones is playing with more confidence because of Malik Nabers and the fact that he has like a sure target to just, he knows organizationally if he goes down trying to get the ball to Malik, no one's going to be that mad. Yep. He knows on the field that's his most trusted pair of hands. Like you're talking about a guy who overthinks everything to a detrimental point where he was unplayable in the first week of the season. But you get into it with all these other factors involved. So like I was saying, Jones is playing with more confidence. That's because Nabers plugged that hole, and the play calling is kind of counting on there being good blocking, paying for the offensive line, plugged that hole. You paid with the offensive line with the Saquon money. That's a huge hole. You got Singletary. He's been really good, not because he's one of the top 5 running backs in the NFL or whatever. It's like, it's because you invested in the line, and you got a line that allows someone like Singletary with his skill set to look good. And then because you have a run game, because you have a number 1 receiver, because you have a line, Jones, whose head is so far up his own ass most of the time, like he can, you're literally like Weekend at Bernieing him, right? Like you're holding his corpse up and you're like, this is ahead of you. This is behind you.
Yep.
You got to walk this way. Like you're making it as easy for him as possible. This is the most insulation the Giants have had around Daniel Jones to a meaningful extent, maybe in his entire Giants career, which is ridiculous. And I'm not trying to say that like, if they had done this earlier, people wouldn't hate Dan Jones so much. Like, no, the guy makes awful decisions and he plays scared and he does all these things that make him benchable. But these last 2 weeks, we haven't seen it as much, especially this week 3 against the Browns, who have a really strong defense. A couple of lucky breaks were really integral to this game going the way it did. You talk about Dan's pick, right, getting called back early on. Yep. You talk about in the fourth quarter, the fact that, on 4th and 1, the Browns don't get it because the Giants practice squad corner locked up an outside receiver and made Deshaun feel like he had to run up the middle. Like that's not going to happen 8 out of 10 times. Right. But like these stops that they got were so timely. And that's what it is with this Giants team, is like, you're going to get a moment here from Kayvon, a moment here from McFadden, a moment here where Jones actually makes a good throw to find Nabers. It's about setting everyone up to help each other have as many of those moments as possible, setting the lineup to help Dan and Singletary have those moments, et cetera, et cetera.
So something that in my head kind of got my wheels turning was how confident Daniel Jones is playing now that he has Malik Nabers. And obviously we all know how good Malik Nabers has been, but through all the Adam Schefter posts and through all the Dov Kleiman posts and all that stuff, through even watching him play.
Everyone's favorite aggregator.
Yeah, everyone.
Worst Twitter account of all time.
I know how great he is, but through 3 games, it hasn't clicked for me until I kind of looked things up right now. He is second in receptions, third and five total yards behind third for yardage leaders in the season, and tied for first in touchdowns with like 5 or 6 players who have 3. So to walk in your first 3 games as a rookie, he just turned 21 years old. He was 20 at the time that he got drafted, and to be top 2 in receptions, nearly top 3 in yards, and tied for first in touchdowns. I mean, that is fantastic stuff. What Joe Shane did was he said, John Mara, we are going to let the face of this franchise walk. I'm sorry. I know it's going to kill you dearly, but we are going to draft this kid at number 6, who is not only going to come in day one and supplant him, he's going to be exactly what you wanted Odell Beckham to be, and even more. And through 3 games, not statistically at least, but character-wise, leadership on the field, I believe he has surpassed what Odell did here in terms of carrying himself, inspiring confidence in others. Odell Beckham, for as much better as he is than Nabers in his prime, I think Odell Beckham has not shifted the culture of the Giants in his time here the way Nabers did in 3 games worth. That's my honest opinion on it. He has brought a whole different vibe. For as wacky as this term is, the aura that he's brought here has been incredible. I like it. There's not a way for me to quantify it, but the swagger, the confidence, pairing that up with the line, pairing that up with paying Singletary, what was it, $6 million a year to be top 14 in rush yards and I believe top 12 in total yards from scrimmage. I mean, this is what you kind of envision nowadays when you talk about the modern NFL offense. You have a guy who can run well with vision and take what's in front of him. You have a nice explosive secondary back who can come in on passing downs and make an impact. Maybe rip off a long one, even though we haven't seen it yet from Tyrone Tracy. And then you have your guy in the pass game who everything is built around. So as Nabers himself gets better, as all the pieces on this offense continue to mesh, as Dable continues to get familiar with the guys here that he's calling plays for. Because remember, there's 3 new faces on the line. Nabers is a new face. Theo Johnson is a new face. Singletary is a new face. So while the main parts of this offense and DJ and Thomas and whoever else are constant, a lot of the new main guys who have supplanted the others are new. And they're still getting familiar. Remember, this offensive line didn't play a snap together in preseason or in training camp. So the culture shift has been beyond noticeable, and I think it starts and ends with Malik Nabers. And I'm not necessarily eating crow on my draft takes about him, because it was well documented that I wanted Rome Odunze, but he has not only proven me wrong, but I think even the biggest Malik Nabers fans didn't see this coming. And what we've seen so far is a potentially generational receiver for the Giants.
Yeah. And this is something I kind of wanted to bring up when Kris was talking about the whole philosophy when it comes to like building the offensive line versus paying a running back. And I know that me and Kon have talked about it, I think 2 episodes ago now, of the overall philosophy when it comes to running the football, of you can afford offensively, not financially, to throw a lesser running back into your team and your scheme when you have a better offensive line. Like if say we did whatever, we let Saquon walk, we put the money elsewhere, we had Singletary in a similar line to last year, we're fucked. But because we did that investment into the line, you can make Singletary obviously not look like Saquon, but give somewhat similar enough production to where you are going to win games. And obviously the first 2 weeks or whatever, obviously week 2, the Giants should have won, but Brian Dable decided not to call up a kicker or do anything with the whole Graham Gano situation, which we all saw how I reacted to that. This team should be 2-1, and a lot of that is because of the change in philosophy when it comes to the offensive line, as to where we've seen the team make splashes before of like Jeff Schwartz, Nate Solder that didn't pay off. And now instead of going for that top-notch guy, they're building it up through. These guys might not be top at their position, but they're going to form what can be a top 15, maybe even top 12 unit in the league. And that's just that allows you to bring a guy like Singletary in for $6 million as opposed to Saquon for 13 or whatever much he fucking got.
Well, to your point, Nate Solder, when we signed him, was a $15.5 million annual salary.
Good God. Guy, man.
Jesus Christ, right?
That Nate Solder is my Andrea Bargnani for the New York Giants. Like
that
those
was
two,
that was the biggest line contract
the
ever.
same. I view those two players the same. Yeah. Like everyone yelled at the person running the team so much to go do something, and they went and got someone who they paid whatever, traded for, paid, however it happened. Like those, I think of those two athletes the same way. Like, I never wanted you. You came in, you were supposed to fix a big problem, and you arguably made it worse for years.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember agreed. At the time I really, really fucking wanted Andrew Whitworth because I believe it was him and Solder were the top two on the market, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wasn't Whitworth like 37 too, and he still would have been like a better option.
Yep. And I was like, yeah, Whitworth's old, but like Solder's was good at the time, but I'm like, I really fucking want Whitworth. Like he's more established. And when we got Solder, I was like, all right, like, we got someone, let's fucking go. And I'm not gonna continue because fuck Nate Solder.
Well, the philosophy there is something that I think the Giants as an organization have struggled with for a long time. Do you shoot for ceiling, or do you take the 6.5 or 7 out of 10? And in that situation, they didn't shoot for the ceiling. They took the solid
Shane
play.
loves trying to hit singles and doubles. Like hitting a double is like the ceiling, and hitting you're fouling out or whatever. Not fouling out. Damn it. Striking out is like the floor for Shane. And I wish he would realize that striking out is the floor for everyone. And he should try and hit a homer every now and then. But whatever. Such a vanilla way of building a team. But it's stable. I don't want people to. I don't want the Giants to fire him. Whatever. Rant over. Continue. Sorry.
No. Rant sort of agreed with though, honestly, because the real home run swings are swings that he's taken in the first round, right? With the O tackle and Neal, the edge rusher, the cornerback, the receiver. Those are his 4 first-round picks so far. Premium positions with need. Then the Burns trade was a home run swing. Daniel Jones contract, I wouldn't necessarily call it a home run swing because it kind of was something that at the end of the day...
that's hitting a single, bro.
Yeah.
They signed that contract. They signed a contract and they were like, if this goes well, we're going to look back at this contract and be like, yeah, that was about fair. like that was
well, if that's how they thought about it in the moment when pen was put to paper, then I think they put themselves at a floor of striking out and a ceiling of hitting a deep pop fly. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And so taking DJ out of the equation with the 5 biggest moves Shane has made, I would say 1 has been a home run, 2 doubles, and 1 was I'll say 3 doubles and then a strikeout with Evan Neal.
I was gonna say that one, but the Evan Neal one's looking like that Javier Baez strikeout where he's swinging at the ball fucking 10 feet before it gets to the plate.
Yeah, I agree with that. And so the ancillary pieces that Shane has brought in have done so much to elevate this team, between McFadden playing a legitimate role, Pinnock playing a legitimate role. You look at even guys like Greg Van Roten and Jermaine Illuminor were brought in here for $9 million total. You pair that with Singletary.
That's good.
Who is $6 million. Those 3 guys who are leading the turnaround for your run game are making combined as much as Nate Solder did in that first year of his contract.
My God, man.
What do you guys think about Nubin?
You want to take this first, Des?
You got it. You got it first. I feel
Okay.
like you have more opinions on him than I would.
I think that Nubin, in a very similar fashion to Nabers, and I said this to you, I think a couple days ago, Kris, after the game on Sunday, I underestimated the grown ass man factor of his game. And when he's coming down in the run game and putting his body onto somebody, he looks a lot bigger in these NFL games than he did in college, which is fascinating to me. And I think with Pinnock back there, who's having such a fantastic season, it gives Nubin a lot of ability to play like a rookie if he wants to. In the sense of, if you think a run is going to this gap, go shoot it. Have the confidence. Go make that, that home run play. Because if you strike out, we got guys on the back end who will save you, kind of. Between Pinnock, Okereke, who, I mean, I saw some Giants fans talking about how he's been a disappointment for 3 weeks. I don't know what you're watching.
Yeah.
Quite honestly. McFadden, again, after week 2, people were like, did he even have that good of a game? It was his first game of the season, man. Like, he came back week 3 and just showed you how dynamic he was building off of last season. So I think to that point earlier with Pinnock playing so well, with those two guys in the running game also there with him, they're just letting him play free, letting him play confident, and the run support has been better than I could have imagined. I still think in coverage, he's about as advertised with room to grow. But the run game stuff has just been absolutely amazing from him and from Drew Phillips.